Howdy, YouTube and my subscribers. This video, which I'm doing at 8:48 on Friday the 16th of January, it's basically because I've been watching a lot of Penn and Teller shit, and I just watched their War on Drugs episode. And it's true what they say, that the war on drugs has done nothing but proliferate a black market for the drugs. If we legalize drugs, the federal government could tax the people, could set up standards for that, and then could make things less dangerous. And by legalizing the drugs, would demystify the drugs for younger generations. And if you legalized it, there would be less chances of younger children getting hands of it on it. Now, that's not to say that legalizing it will stop younger people from getting their hands on it, but the chances are less likely because the drug dealers will probably go away. Because most people would not go there to a drug dealer because they'd probably be in some skanky hallway or some shit or something, and then they would go to the more polished shops that have sprung up due to the legalization. But again, I think that should only be in effect for some drugs. But I think it would maybe work for all drugs. One person actually brings up a good point that people claim that all these people can die from marijuana. It's not marijuana itself, it's marijuana in conjunction with other things that can kill you. And that's another thing that people can do that would be better if they legalize marijuana and other natural drugs. People wouldn't put formaldehyde, they wouldn't lace the marijuana or other drugs with other drugs which could cause people to overdose. People can't overdose on marijuana. You can't. Now, I've never touched weed or any drug in my lifetime. It's not because I don't. It's not because of... It's really just been a personal choice, that because the people I've known who have done drugs they've been cool, but I've seen what it can happen to you if it does happen. I've never drank, I've never smoked pot, never done LSD, any of that shit. I've never done it. I'm sober. I've been sober since day one. I've never touched anything. And I don't get why people say I do. People comment on my videos saying you're high or drunk or something. It's just that when I get tired, things like that. And I don't know, I just don't get why people have such a problem with drugs. Because, I mean, think about what's in a cigarette. There's a myriad of shit in there's so much shit in tobacco, cigarettes, that could kill you on its own, but you combine that with other things, and that just makes it 100% worse. And if you really want to put it into perspective, like, look at the deaths, I think, caused by pot to the deaths caused by alcohol, tobacco, and things like that, and you'll see that there's less chance of you dying if you smoke pot than if you smoke cigarettes. There's nothing natural about inhaling smoke, but there's less things in marijuana that can harm you if you get it from a reputable person who doesn't lace their pot with anything. You gotta be careful about that, and that's another thing. That's why we should legalize it, because then you could regulate, tax it, and make it safer for people who want to smoke it. And there is proof that medical marijuana does help specific people with ailments that they have. like cancer patients, helps them with nausea, helps them eat, like gives them an appetite, things like that. And that in and of itself should be should make it so it's legalized in a medical sense, because there's glaucoma patients, there's people who are suffering, who are just dying because the medical treatments that they do have are not really easing any of the pain, and marijuana might actually produce some other results other than the traditional treatments that have been prescribed. If someone's suffering from pain brought about by cancer, pot might alleviate that. There's things that it could alleviate, and you have to be strategic with what you do when you legalize it. But you got to be careful when you legalize it, because things might happen. But if you criminalize things that are not really harmful, you do create a black market. You create an undercurrent for people to go get like back alley drugs that have been laced with God knows what for whatever reason. And I'm not saying this all drugs are good, but some drugs do have medicinal uses. And if you're not harming anybody, I don't see why you can't have it. Look at Holland and Amsterdam, and their drug policy is very lenient on natural drugs and things. And it's usually better towards the drug users. And like, you'd be probably hard pressed to find people all over the place like laying down because they're so high or something on the street. It's not possible. I don't think that would ever happen. I personally just want to go to Amsterdam just to go there and say I've been there. I don't want to live my life in fear of what, and I don't want to live in regret. But I don't know. I think, in getting off topic, but in the same kind of stream of thought, I think people assume that I'm a pothead because of the things I usually talk about. I don't know. I watch stoner movies, but I'm not a stoner. That's the thing. I watch Cheech and Chong. I watch Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. I watch all these stoner movies, but I'm not stoned, and I still find them funny. Like, I just like the culture of it. I like Cheech and Chong. Cheech and Chong stuff is really funny because they lampoon drug use. Things like that. I don't know. But I don't know if I think you have to. This is my proposed solution for drugs. Legalize the natural ones and have stricter regulations on the non-natural drugs. Stricter regulations. Legalize all of them, but have strict regulations on the ones that you have to create through some other method other than just putting it in a cigarette and smoking it, or eating it, or some drugs that you have to make, synthetic drugs that you have to make, put stricter guidelines on, and make it like, you know what I'm talking about, like restrictions, and police it more. But and this is my final thought, if you legalize drugs, the mystique and the lure of drugs is just gonna go bye-bye, because there's gonna be kids are not gonna want to smoke it if their parents are smoking it or something like that. They're not. It's probably not gonna happen. But that's my final thought. I'm RezenatorZen. I'm off like a prompt. This has been one of my first 10-minute videos in a while, so peace out, guys.